Now, the 90s are kind of coming back into fashion. Cool Britannia is here, and I've got a very cool drinks expert alongside me now to tell me all about the wonderful world of Oasis and 90s fashion being back. It's Helen McGinn. Good afternoon.
Hello, how are you?
I'm all right. I hope we find you well.
Very well, thank you.
Now, I mean, obviously, best-selling author, drinks expert, and big fan of Oasis as well.
Oh, I was a huge fan of Oasis, definitely. In fact, I love both of them. I loved Oasis and Blur.
And I also see you as maybe having one of the Jerry Halliwell Union Jack dresses in your wardrobe as well.
I wish. I mean, that was one of my iconic moments of the 90s when she stepped out on that stage at the Brit Awards in her Union Jack dress. Who can forget that?
But I mean, so it was a decade filled with iconic moments, and it was very much a feel-good time. And when we hit on this in at certain points in our lives now, but it is nice to reminisce about when everything seemed to be a bit easier because we forget the tricky stuff back then, don't we?
Oh, exactly. I know you focus on the good things, and there were lots and lots of good things about that decade. I mean, it was such an important moment in terms of fashion, in terms of music. I mean, the whole culture around Britpop, really. And, for those of us who were there first time round, there are just moments that you never, ever forget, really.
Absolutely. I mean, the birth of Big Brother was a huge thing as well, wasn't it? I
Gosh,
mean, that was
yeah.
massive, and I think it was one of the last decades when we had proper linear TV, where everyone was waiting on the edge of their seats for something to happen. These days, I mean, when you get Big Brother, which is back, it is very much sort of internet based. You get to drop in on moments. We used to have to watch E4 for the highlights that back
I
then.
mean, imagine there's a whole generation that will never know the beauty of having to sit in front of the television. And if you left the room for something, that's it, you missed it. You couldn't see it again.
No, yes, there was no pausing your telly
No,
back in the early 90s at the very
absolutely
least.
not.
But there's all sorts of other magic moments, and I think one of the big ones was in James Bond in Goldeneye, his shaken, not stirred gin martini.
So, and that is the thing of all the 90s moments that we have. There's another enduring icon from that time, and that is the timeless gin and tonic, or obviously the gin martini as he had it in James Bond, shaken not stirred. But it's really fascinating because the research that's been done by the UK's number one gin brand, Gordon's, that found out that almost a third of Brits are old enough to enjoy one, and they remember gin and tonic during their Britpop days. As it was so iconic. It was even in one of Oasis's songs, "Give Me Gin and Tonic," and it just shows that we're still enjoying the drink just as much 30 years on. And in fact, it has just moved into kind of Hall of Fame territory. I think the gin and tonic.
Absolutely. And also, I think it's a name you know as well, so you know what you're getting with your gin and tonic because there are so many fad brands out there in the world of gin. Now, obviously, gin is absolutely huge, and rightly so. I mean, it is obviously enjoyed responsibly by many, many people, but it is down to getting the right gin in that mix, isn't it?
I found it fascinating watching what has happened with gin, over the last 30 years, because obviously we had this huge kind of gin renaissance. But for me, I love the fact that it is the classics, that are still standing and as strong as ever. And for example, I mean, the one note or flavour or botanical that makes a gin is juniper. And so for me, if I am having a gin and tonic, I want a juniper led gin. And as you said, you've got lots of gins now that have different flavorings. They come in all sorts of guises. You can use lots of different botanicals. But for me, Gordon's, which is a really ginny gin, and Tanqueray is the same. I think you just keep it really simple. Go for a juniper led gin, really good tonic, lots of ice, and don't overcomplicate the garnishes.
But it is if you want to take that gin and mix it with something else, though, I think it's good to do it in a controlled way and do it yourself because you know what note you're getting in there, and whether it is that gin martini, shaken and not stirred, or whether it is something else that you want to pair it with. It is again, it's about having a consistency and knowing what you're going to get. And I know some gins do taste a bit chemically. Gordon's never does.
Oh, it is. And honestly, there is something about seeing that green bottle as well. You know exactly where you are and what you're going to get. And there is something in that, as I say, it has reached kind of Hall of Fame status.
And have you got a 90s based gin wearing outfit to wear when you drinking gin? Have you got an outfit for it? I mean, you must have.
Yeah, that's when I put my Union Jack dress
Oh,
on.
that's okay. That is good. I can see you doing that. That's all good. But there's other smells and tastes which are very 90s as well, aren't there? And I think it's a decade when we were introduced to a number of different things, different snacks and stuff. And again, whereas the 70s and 80s were sort of vol au vents and pineapple hedgehogs when you were at a party and you had your gin and tonic, it did move on in the 90s, didn't it?
Yeah, and I think back to, 90s food as well. They all got a bit shishy at that time. Everything suddenly went very small on plates. Do you remember?
Yes.
And yeah, exactly. And that wasn't me. But I think there is so much to love about the 90s, and it does feel, with Glastonbury this year and with Oasis going on tour, there is such a sort of, that 90s feel is coming back. And we all just love remembering, that time. For those of us who are still drinking gin and tonic now, one sip and you could be back in the 90s.
So it takes you back in time, and in the best of ways possible. Just the scent will take you there because it's a properly aromatic drink, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. And again, this is it, the recipe, which is a well kept secret, but the recipe has not changed for hundreds of years. It is that, I mean, that is how much of a classic Gordon's is. And it does have that all important kind of purity. That is the lovely thing about it with the juniper. It's a really fresh fresh, crisp taste. And as you say, you can have so much fun with it. You can make all sorts of different cocktails. But for me, even though I've been in the drinks industry for the last 30 years. If I am going to make myself a cocktail at home, and I do call it a cocktail, it will be a gin and tonic.
As soon as you mix it, it's a cocktail, isn't it? Whatever you add to it.
Exactly. It so is. And, just some little snacks on the side as well, and you can have a real moment.
But are you going to be watching the repeats of Top of the Pops and dragging out the Vicar of Dibley box set to enjoy, or are you more of an Ab Fab girl?
Oh, what do you think? Totally ab fab.
Ab Fab, yeah. Uh, But I love the fact we're both about the same age. You're just a little bit younger than me, and we're both clearly mentally still 25, which is probably where I was during the 90s. And it is just such an iconic decade. And it is. Does it worry you though that we are talking about throwing back to a decade which was very much a coming of age?
Well, do you know what? I think not really, no, because we got so much out of it as well. And it was a time when actually, when you think about the fashions of the time, people were having fun with it. And that is so important that we don't lose sight of that. And life can be serious nowadays, and so you just need to bring in those moments of joy. And for me, one of them is making a really good gin and tonic and giving myself like 20 minutes to sit down and just enjoy life, because as I say, 30 years has gone like that. So
That is the scary bit, isn't it? But there we are.
yes.
So we had some great times. We had some great music back then. I'm going to let you choose a song from the 90s that's iconic for you. What should we play before I get the details from you on where we can go on the website? That gives me a chance to get these things lined up.
I think it's got to be Supersonic by Oasis.
Okay, that's a deal. Where can we go for the full survey, all the details, and we can find out how many people are still moved by hearing Celine Dion's "My Heart Will Go On"?
Yeah, absolutely. Yes, well, always just if you go to the Gordon's website, all the details are there, and there's lots and lots of recipes on there as well if you need some recipe inspiration.
Yeah, give Gordon's a Google, which is something you started doing in the 90s, and stay with it. Always enjoy Gordon's responsibly and have a fantastic time thinking back to those days. Right, let's do some Oasis. Meanwhile, Helen McGinn, have a fantastic time. Enjoy reliving your youth with that green bottle, and make sure that you have a fantastic summer as well.
And you too. Thank you so much.